The bell rang, and the halls of Jefferson High flooded with students heading to their next class. In the middle of the chaos, tucked into her oversized hoodie, glasses slipping down her nose, walked Elara Quinlan, the girl everyone barely noticed, or chose to mock. She didn't speak much. Not because she didn't want to, but because when she tried, they either laughed at her stutter or mimicked her soft-spoken tone. Elara was a ghost among the living, floating from class to class unnoticed by most, except for a trio of tormentors who lived to make her life unbearable. Their names were Tasha, Brooklyn, and Nina, three popular girls whose cruelty was masked beneath expensive perfume and lip gloss. They didn't just bully, they orchestrated performances of public humiliation. To them, Elara wasn't a person. She was a canvas for mockery, and today, they had something vile in mind. It started during art class. The teacher, Mr. Lockhart, was called to the office unexpectedly. 5 minutes, he said. Finish your sketches. Elara sat in the corner, sketching quietly, her pencil dancing across paper like an escape route from her real life. But her concentration was broken by a shadow. Tasha. Then Brooklyn. Then Nina. The door hadn't even fully shut behind the teacher before they pounced. Hey, Picasso, Brooklyn sneered, yanking the sketchpad from Elara's hands. What's this garbage? Drawing your imaginary boyfriend again. Elara tried to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. She reached to grab the pad, but Nina shoved her back into the chair. Oh, no, Nina said sweetly. We're the artists now. They surrounded her. Before she could escape, Tasha pulled a roll of duct tape from her bag. What? No, please, stop. Elara cried, but they were fast. Too fast. They yanked her arms behind the chair, taping her down. She squirmed, panicked, heart hammering, but the room was empty. The hallway echoed faint laughter and lockers slamming. No one would hear her. Brooklyn pulled out markers. Let's give her a makeover. Elara thrashed, but it was useless. They scribbled over her face. Hearts. Slurs. Mustaches. Cruel names. You look better already, Brooklyn cackled. Tasha snapped photos. Let's send these around the school group chat. Elara screamed, tears streaking down her cheeks, but they only laughed louder. When Mr. Lockhart returned, the girls had just enough time to drop the markers and pretend nothing happened. He noticed Elara, but only her red eyes. Is everything okay? He asked. She shook her head, humiliated, unable to speak. He didn't press. No one ever did. Elara didn't go to lunch. She hid in the nurse's office, scrubbing her face with wet wipes, her cheeks raw from rubbing. She stared into the mirror and didn't recognize herself. The ink was stubborn. Just like their cruelty. Just like the silence of everyone who stood by. That night, she sat on her bed, the smell of permanent marker still lingering in her nose. She stared at the photos they posted, now viral in their school group. The comments ranged from laughing emojis to cruel jokes. No one defended her. No one, except one. A message popped up. A name she barely recognized, Jet Rivera, a quiet boy from her physics class. Hey. I saw what happened. It's not okay. If you want help, I can teach you something. Elara blinked. Teach her something. He followed up. Martial arts. Krav Maga. No nonsense. Real power. I've trained since I was 8. My dad's ex-military. You don't have to fight like them. But you should know you can defend yourself. Elara hesitated. Then replied, when can we start? What began that weekend changed everything. Elara met Jet in an abandoned rec room his dad converted into a training space. At first, she was shaky. Her hands trembled. She could barely throw a punch. But week after week, she got stronger. Jet didn't mock her. He corrected her. He believed in her. They trained 3 times a week. Elara learned to strike, block, escape holds, and most importantly, use her fear as fuel. You don't fight out of rage, Jet taught. You fight for your peace. For the little girl they tried to erase. You fight for her. Months passed. Her posture changed. She no longer walked looking down. She still wore hoodies, but not to hide. They were now her armor. People didn't notice the shift, yet. But the bullies did. It bothered Tasha that Elara didn't cower anymore. It gnawed at Nina that Elara now stared back. Brooklyn couldn't stand that her cruelty wasn't echoing in Elara's silence. And so, they planned one last show. This time, after gym class. In the locker room. They cornered her again. What? You think you're too good to cry now? Brooklyn hissed. Let's see if we can fix that. But they didn't know. Elara was done being a victim. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. When Brooklyn grabbed her wrist, Elara twisted, locked it, and with a simple step, dropped her to the floor. Nina lunged, and caught an elbow to the ribs. Tasha pulled Elara's hair, and got thrown against a locker with a hip toss. The room went dead silent. All three were groaning on the ground. Elara stood, breathing steady. She grabbed the same marker Brooklyn once used on her. And calmly walked to each girl. Across Brooklyn's forehead, she drew, coward. On Nina's cheek, bully. And on Tasha's arm, weak. Then she walked out, head held high. That afternoon, whispers spread like wildfire. People asked what happened. Why the queens of cruelty had bruises and shame written across their faces. But no one dared laugh this time. No one dared speak against Elara. She wasn't the shy girl anymore. She was something much more dangerous.